My husband packed his bags while I was at work and left a note saying he needed space, and now his family expects me to wait for him to come back. I'm 30F and my husband Beckett is 33M. 2 weeks ago, I came home from work to find half his clothes gone and a note on the kitchen counter saying he needed space to figure some things out. He didn't answer my calls or texts for 3 days. Now his family is telling me I need to be patient and wait for him to work through whatever he's dealing with, like I'm supposed to just put my life on hold. For context, Beckett and I have been married for 4 years. We got married when I was 26 and he was 29, no kids, just us and our cat. For most of our marriage, things have been good. We both work demanding jobs, me as a physical therapist and him as a project manager at a tech company. We live in Denver in a condo we bought 2 years ago. About 6 months ago, Beckett started acting differently, more withdrawn, less communicative. He'd always been somewhat introverted, but this was different. He stopped wanting to do things together on weekends, would say he was tired or needed to catch up on work. When I'd suggest going out for dinner or seeing friends, he'd make excuses. By early fall, we were basically living separate lives under the same roof. He'd work from home in his office all day. I'd be at the clinic. We'd have dinner together maybe twice a week. The rest of the time he'd eat at his desk or say he'd already eaten. When we did talk, it was surface level stuff about bills or apartment maintenance. Nothing real. I tried talking to him about it multiple times, asked if he was okay, if something was bothering him, if there was anything wrong with us. He'd say he was fine, just stressed with a big project at work, that once it wrapped up things would get better. The project wrapped up in October, nothing changed. In early November, I suggested we take a trip somewhere, just the two of us, try to reconnect. He said he didn't have the mental energy for travel right now, maybe later. I asked when later. He said he didn't know, that he couldn't plan that far ahead. That's when I started getting worried. This wasn't just work stress. Something was fundamentally wrong. I suggested couples therapy. He shut it down immediately, said therapy was expensive and we didn't need it, that we just needed to give each other space. I said we had plenty of space. We barely saw each other. He said that wasn't what he meant, that he needed mental space. I asked what that meant. He got irritated, said I was pushing too hard, that I needed to back off and let him breathe. After that conversation, I tried to give him space like he asked. Stopped initiating conversations about us, stopped suggesting activities together, focused on my own work and friendships, figured maybe if I stopped pushing, he'd come to me when he was ready. 3 weeks ago, Beckett told me he was going to visit his parents for the weekend. They live about 3 hours away, outside Colorado Springs. He'd go visit them every couple months, totally normal. He left Friday after work, said he'd be back Sunday evening. Sunday came and went, no Beckett. He texted around 8 saying he was staying an extra day, that his dad needed help with something. Monday evening he came home, barely said anything to me, went straight to his office and closed the door. The next week was more of the same, him in his office, me doing my own thing. We were roommates, not spouses. I'd accepted at that point that something was seriously wrong, but I didn't know how to fix it when he wouldn't talk to me. Then 2 weeks ago, I had a full day at the clinic, back-to-back patients, got home around 6:30. The apartment felt different the moment I walked in, too quiet. I called for Beckett, no answer. His office door was open, lights off. I walked into our bedroom, half his closet was empty, his dresser drawers were open, clothes gone, toiletries missing from the bathroom. I stood there trying to process what I was seeing, then I saw the note on the kitchen counter. It said he needed space to figure some things out, that he couldn't do that while living here, that he'd be staying somewhere else for a while. He said this wasn't about me, that he just needed time to think about what he wanted. He'd be in touch when he was ready to talk. That was it. No explanation of what he was trying to figure out. No timeline for when he'd be ready. No indication of where he was staying. Just a note saying he needed space and then he was gone. I called him immediately, straight to voicemail. I texted asking what was happening, where he was, if he was okay. No response. I tried again an hour later, then again before bed. Nothing. I barely slept, kept checking my phone. Nothing. Called in sick to work the next day. Couldn't imagine trying to focus on patients while my husband had just disappeared. Called him again. Voicemail. Texted saying I deserved more than a note, that we needed to talk. No response. Day 2, still nothing. I was going between panic and anger. Called his brother Everett asking if he'd heard from Beckett. Everett said yes, that Beckett was staying with him, that he needed some time and I should respect that. I asked Everett what was going on. He said he didn't know, that Beckett hadn't told him much, just that he needed space. I asked if Beckett was okay, if this was a mental health crisis, if I should be worried. Everett said Beckett seemed fine physically, just going through something. I asked Everett to tell Beckett to call me, that I at least deserved a conversation. Everett said he'd pass the message along. Day 3, Beckett finally texted, said he was sorry for leaving the way he did, that he knew it wasn't fair, but he needed this. He said he'd explain everything eventually, but right now he just needed time to think. I asked how much time. He said he didn't know. I asked if our marriage was over. He said he didn't know that either. That's what he needed to figure out. I asked if he'd been unhappy, if I'd done something wrong. He said it wasn't about me. It was about him not knowing what he wanted from his life. I said we could work through that together. He said no, he needed to work through it alone. That was 2 weeks ago. Since then, I've gotten occasional texts, surface-level stuff asking how I'm doing, how the cat is, nothing substantial. When I try to ask when we can actually talk, he says he's not ready yet. Meanwhile, his family has been reaching out. His mom called last week, said she knew this must be hard for me but I needed to be patient with Beckett, that he was going through something difficult and needed support. I said I'd been trying to support him for months but he wouldn't let me, that he'd just left without a real explanation. She said sometimes people need space to work things out on their own, that I should trust he'd come back when he was ready. I said I didn't know if I wanted him to come back if this is how he handles problems. She got quiet, then said marriage is about weathering difficult times together. I said we can't weather them together if he literally leaves. His sister Nora texted me saying she hoped I was hanging in there, that Beckett would figure things out and everything would be okay. I said I didn't know if everything would be okay, that my husband had abandoned me without explanation. She said abandoned was a strong word, that he just needed time. His dad called yesterday, said he wanted to check on me, asked how I was holding up. I said honestly not great, that my husband left me and won't tell me why. He said Beckett's always been someone who needs to process internally, that when he was younger he'd withdraw when stressed. I said that's fine when you're a kid but we're married adults. He can't just leave when things get hard. His dad said he understood my frustration but that pushing Beckett would make things worse, that I needed to give him the space he was asking for. I said I'd been giving him space for weeks before he left. It didn't help. His dad said maybe he needed more space than that. I asked how much space is enough. When does it become abandonment? He didn't have an answer. My own family and friends think this is insane. My best friend Piper said no grown man gets to just leave his marriage without explanation, that Beckett is being selfish and cowardly. My sister said the same thing, that space is one thing but disappearing is another. My parents think I should give him a deadline, say he has 2 weeks to either come home and go to therapy or I'm filing for separation, that I can't just wait indefinitely while he figures out his life. I'm angry and hurt and confused. I don't know what I did wrong or if I did anything wrong. I don't know what he's trying to figure out or how long it'll take. I don't know if he's planning to come back or if this is just a slow-motion breakup. His family acts like I'm supposed to just wait patiently while he works through whatever this is, like I don't deserve answers or respect or basic communication, like my feelings don't matter because he's the one who's struggling. I'm supposed to just keep our life on hold while he decides if he wants to be married? Pay all the bills myself? Explain to people who ask where my husband is? Just wait? Am I wrong for being angry? Should I be more patient? How long am I supposed to wait for someone who won't even tell me what they're waiting for? Update, 3 weeks later. I'm updating because things have progressed and I've made some decisions about what I'm willing to accept. After my original post, I got a lot of responses telling me to set boundaries, to stop waiting, to demand answers. Some people said I should give him more time, that maybe he really is going through something. I spent a lot of time thinking about what I actually want versus what everyone else thinks I should do. The week after I posted, I texted Beckett, told him I needed to talk face to face, that texting wasn't enough anymore. He responded saying he wasn't ready for that. I said that wasn't an option, that I deserved a real conversation after 3 weeks of nothing. He finally agreed to meet me for coffee. We met at a neutral place, halfway between where I live and where his brother's apartment is. He looked tired, thinner than I remembered. We sat down and it was awkward, like meeting a stranger. I asked him directly what was going on, what he was trying to figure out. He gave the same vague answers, said he didn't know what he wanted from his life, that he felt stuck, that he needed time to think. I asked if he wanted a divorce. He said he didn't know. I asked if there was someone else. He said no. I asked if he'd fallen out of love with me. He said he didn't know, that he couldn't access his feelings right now. Everything felt numb. I suggested therapy. He said maybe eventually. I told him I couldn't do this indefinitely, that I needed a timeline. He said he couldn't give me one, that he didn't know how long he'd need. I asked what he expected me to do while he figured this out. He said he didn't expect anything, that I should live my life. I said I couldn't just live my life like nothing happened. I'm married to him. He said maybe we should do a trial separation, make it official. I asked what that would mean. He said we'd live apart, take time to figure out if we want to stay married. I asked how long. He said 6 months maybe. I said 6 months is a long time to be in limbo. He said it was better than making a permanent decision we'd regret. That conversation made me realize he was asking me to wait while giving nothing in return. No commitment to working on us. No therapy. No timeline. Just vague promises that he'd figure things out eventually. I told him I'd think about it. We left without resolving anything. I felt worse than before we met. The next day, I called my parents, told them about the conversation. My dad said Beckett was keeping his options open, that he wanted to see what else was out there while keeping me as a backup plan. My mom said whether that was true or not, I deserved better than being someone's maybe. I called a lawyer that week, just to understand what separation and divorce would look like. The lawyer explained legal separation versus informal separation, said if we're going to live apart we should have an agreement about finances and property. She also said that Colorado is a no-fault divorce state, that if either of us wants a divorce we don't need the other's consent, that if I decided I was done, I could file and it would move forward regardless of whether Beckett was ready. That was empowering, knowing I wasn't trapped waiting for him to make a decision about my life. Last week, I made a decision. I texted Beckett, said I wasn't going to wait 6 months in limbo, that if he needed space to figure out if he wanted to be married, he had until the end of the month, that's 3 more weeks. If by then he wasn't ready to come home and commit to therapy, I was filing for divorce. He called me, first time I'd heard his voice in weeks. He said I was giving him an ultimatum, that it wasn't fair. I said what wasn't fair was him leaving without explanation and expecting me to wait indefinitely. He said he couldn't make a decision under pressure. I said then he's making a decision by not making one, that I'm not going to spend months or years waiting for someone who won't fight for our marriage. He said he needed more time. I said he had 3 weeks. He got angry, said I was being unreasonable, that I was forcing his hand. I said no, I was finally standing up for myself after months of accepting his withdrawal and weeks of accepting his absence. He hung up. His family found out about the ultimatum. His mom called me upset, said I was backing Beckett into a corner, that he needed support not pressure. I said I'd been supportive for months and it got me nowhere, that I needed to know if I had a marriage or not. She said I was being selfish, that marriage means supporting your spouse through difficult times. I said marriage also means showing up and communicating, neither of which Beckett has done. She said I'd regret giving him an ultimatum, that it would push him away. I said if an ultimatum pushes him away then he was already gone. Everett, Beckett's brother, texted me, said he thought I was being reasonable, that Beckett couldn't expect me to wait forever, that he'd been telling Beckett the same thing. That was validating, having at least one person from his family acknowledge that this wasn't okay. My friends have been amazing. Piper has been checking on me constantly, helping me process everything. My sister came and stayed with me for a few days, helped me start thinking about what I want my life to look like if this marriage ends. The condo is in both our names. We'd have to sell or one of us would have to buy the other out. My lawyer said we'd figure that out in the separation agreement if it comes to that. I've been going to therapy myself, working through the anger and hurt and confusion. My therapist asked me what I would tell a friend in this situation. I said I'd tell them they deserve better. She said I should tell myself the same thing. Beckett has 3 weeks to decide if he wants to be married, if he doesn't, or if he can't decide. I'm moving forward without him. I'm not waiting anymore. Final update, 1 month later. This is my final update. Things have resolved and I know where I stand. The 3 weeks I gave Beckett came and went. He didn't reach out until the day before the deadline, asked if we could meet. I said yes. We met at the same coffee shop. He looked better than last time, more put together. He said he'd been doing a lot of thinking, that he knew I needed an answer. I waited. He said he still wasn't sure what he wanted, that he needed more time. I said time's up. He said I was forcing him to make a decision he wasn't ready for. I said he'd had months to figure this out, plus 6 weeks of space. If he still didn't know, that was an answer in itself. He asked if I could give him 1 more month. I said no. He said I was giving up on our marriage. I said I'd been fighting alone for our marriage for months while he checked out, that I wasn't giving up. I was accepting reality. He started crying, said he didn't want to lose me, that he loved me. I asked if he wanted to be married to me. He said he didn't know. I said that's my answer then. I told him I was filing for divorce. He said we should do separation first, give it more time. I said we'd been separated for 6 weeks. Nothing had changed. He said separation is only supposed to be a few weeks, not months. I said exactly, so this had already gone on too long. He asked what he was supposed to do. I said figure out his life, go to therapy, whatever he needed, but not while married to me. He said this wasn't how he wanted things to end. I said then he shouldn't have left. We talked for another hour, mostly him trying to convince me to wait longer, me holding firm that I was done waiting. Eventually he accepted it, said if this was what I wanted he wouldn't fight it. I filed for divorce the next day. Beckett has been served. He texted saying he was sorry, that he'd messed everything up. I didn't respond. There's nothing left to say. His mom called me crying, said I was making a mistake, that Beckett was going through a crisis and I was abandoning him. I said Beckett abandoned me first, that I gave him every opportunity to come back and he didn't take it. She said I'd regret this. I said maybe, but I'd regret waiting more. His dad sent a text saying he respected my decision even if he wished it was different, that I deserved certainty and Beckett couldn't give me that. That meant something. Everett has been supportive, said he's frustrated with his brother, that Beckett had something good and let fear ruin it. He offered to be a reference for me if I need anything during the divorce process, which was kind. The divorce is moving forward. Colorado requires a waiting period, but my lawyer says it should be finalized within a few months. We're selling the condo. Neither of us wants to stay there. We'll split the proceeds. Beckett moved his remaining stuff out last week, came while I was at work, left his key on the counter. It felt final in a way nothing else had. I'm sad about all of it, sad that my marriage ended, sad that I couldn't fix it, sad that Beckett couldn't just talk to me before it got to this point, but I'm also relieved to not be in limbo anymore, relieved to stop waiting for someone who was never going to be ready. My therapist said sometimes people leave emotionally long before they leave physically, that Beckett probably left mentally months ago and the physical leaving was just catching up. That makes sense. He'd been gone in every way that mattered long before he packed his bags. Piper has been incredible, taking me out, keeping me busy, reminding me I'm going to be okay. My sister has been the same. My parents are proud of me for setting boundaries and sticking to them. I'm 30, getting divorced, starting over. It's not what I planned, but I'm building something new, a life where I'm not waiting for someone else to decide if I'm worth showing up for. Someone in my original post said that when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Beckett showed me he's someone who runs when things get hard, who can't communicate, who expects me to wait indefinitely while he figures himself out. I believe him now. I'm not waiting anymore.